And now it's 2024, so I figured new year, new kind of video. I've actually been putting together these top 10 anticipated movies of a year list for a while now on Letterboxd. But now for this new year, yeah, you know what? Let's make it a video. Cause I love looking forward to movies. And the hype and excitement building up to the release, that's always a fun time, right? So you know what? Let's all hype up together here. But first, a couple of disclaimers. Yeah, this list is gonna be 10 movies, but it's not like I'm only looking forward to 10 movies this year. Right now, I got like 30 that I'm at least gonna watch. These ones are gonna be the ones that are like especially on my radar, you know? I got my eye on them. Also for this list, I tried to go for variety. I wanted to dabble in different genres and brands, if nothing else to make this list not boring. So yeah, don't worry, this list is not gonna be all comic book movies. And lastly, this is not gonna be a countdown of least anticipated to most anticipated. For this list, I'm actually going by order of current release date, which I know release dates get changed all the time, especially these days. But what can I say? This is where they are now, so this is the order they're gonna be in. And so with that, let's get started. 10 movies that I am looking forward to seeing in 2024. Let's start off with Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. After Godzilla vs. Kong, which I thought was all sorts of kick-ass, it was unknown whether or not the MonsterVerse would continue, and I'm really happy that it is. And there are people I know who are Godzilla fans, and by that I mean my dad, who have told me that this movie looks completely stupid and dumb, at least compared to Godzilla -1. My response is that Godzilla has had a lot of different iterations over the decades. -1 was more of a serious take on Godzilla, which completely worked. This I see as more of a throwback to those old, like, Saturday morning Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoons from the 60s, or Monster Island. Because, I mean, after you watch the trailer for this, you know you're not supposed to take it seriously. I made a video on the trailer saying so. Yeah, it's gonna be stupid as hell, most likely, but I'm still probably gonna have a lot of fun with it. And like I always say, fun is the reason I love to watch movies. So I'm excited for this. Moving forward to a movie that's probably gonna be a bit more serious, that is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I was gonna make a video on that first teaser trailer, but I didn't have the time. But the fact remains, yeah, that previous reboot trilogy, Rise, Dawn, and War, those movies were all amazing. So even if this movie's bad, God forbid, it won't take away from how good that trilogy is. But this movie being the follow-up to such a good trilogy, I can't help but have high hopes for this one, you know? I read that this is gonna take place 300 years after the events of said trilogy, and we see that the apes are speaking complete fluent English now. This is a completely new story in the Planet of the Apes reboot franchise. And if this is the start of a new trilogy, how can I not at least look forward to that? So here's hoping it's good. Next up, moving on to this summer movie season, we got A Quiet Place Day 1. The Quiet Place movies are, to me anyway, the greatest PG-13 horror movies ever made. Period. Because you can plainly see how much of a passion project they are for John Krasinski, both in front of and behind the camera. Now, I know that John Krasinski is not directing this prequel, and this is a completely different story with completely different characters. Good cast, though. Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, that's Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. Again, I'm really hoping this is good. God willing, A Quiet Place Part 3 ends up being great, and we have ourselves a solid horror trilogy, but Day 1 ends up being bad. We could all be like, yeah, that one never happened, but at least we have our solid trilogy. But who knows, maybe Day 1 will lead to even more stories and make a franchise out of this whole Quiet Place story. I have no idea. I guess it'll depend on how well this movie does. We shall see. Staying in the summer is the movie that is on everyone's anticipated list of 2024, Deadpool 3. Yeah, of course I'm excited for this movie. No surprise. Everyone and their mother's excited for this movie. They're bringing Deadpool into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Hugh Jackman is returning one last time as Wolverine. We've all seen the set photos where Wolverine has his classic comic book yellow outfit. The fact that it's still gonna be rated R, that's very reassuring. But just the concept of Deadpool now being part of the MCU, that's enough to get me excited. I can't wait to see what happens in this movie, what kind of awesome meta humor we're gonna get. Just, this could be the movie that brings the MCU back on track for everybody, especially after last year. Definitely excited for this one. Alright, next on this list, I have Alien Romulus. I still consider myself new to the whole Alien franchise, and of course I do realize that it has had its ups and downs, but Fede Alvarez is directing this one. He directed the 2013 Evil Dead, so I can imagine this movie is gonna be particularly gory. I read that this movie is gonna take place between Alien and Aliens, which that's interesting. That's the only thing I really know about it plot-wise, though. This movie could be great, but I'll be honest, it could be terrible. After Prometheus and Alien Covenant, both of which I still really enjoy, but I am aware that they're actually really divisive. The direction of the Alien franchise right now is kind of up in the air, to my understanding. Like, is that series still happening? I remember it was announced like 3 years ago, but I haven't really heard anything about it since. But we do know that this movie's coming out this year, and so I have reason to be excited for it, or at least have it on my anticipated list. So here it is. But now, going from sci-fi horror To comedy horror, we got Beetlejuice 2. Yeah, it has to be on my most anticipated list. Beetlejuice is one of my all-time favorite Tim Burton movies. I know it backwards and forwards. I quote the hell out of it every day. Okay, I don't, but I know it that well. And most of everyone important is coming back. Tim Burton, Danny Elfman, Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder, plus now Willem Dafoe's gonna be in it. That's great. And of course, Jenna Ortega cast as Lydia Dietz's daughter. Talk about perfect casting. God forbid this sequel is bad, I will still at least think that. But yeah, a sequel to Beetlejuice has been in the works for literally decades, and now it's finally happening. I'm gonna be talking about all the trailers for it when they start coming out. I can't wait. I really hope it's good. I really hope Tim Burton knows what he's doing. Fingers crossed, man. And alright, going on to the later part of the year, Joker, Folly Ado, or however you say it with the accent, I'm not gonna bother trying. This is one of my most anticipated movies of this year, one of my two. Cause not only do I love the first Joker movie, but everything I've heard about this sequel I also absolutely love. Lady Gaga's gonna be Harley Quinn. Love that actress, love that character, love that casting. The movie's gonna be a musical. I love that, cause I love musicals. So a musical about the Joker and Harley Quinn that is a sequel to the 2019 Joker movie. What? Yeah, that is a winning formula in my book. I have really high hopes for this one. I don't just hope it's good, I hope it's awesome. And from what I've heard and from the photos that have been released, it doesn't look like it shouldn't be. So yeah, Joker 2. Hell yes. Staying within the musical realm is the one that you knew was gonna be on this list if you've been subscribed to me for a while. Wicked Part 1. Yeah, in case you didn't know, Wicked is my all-time favorite Broadway musical. So its cinematic adaptation is not just another movie for me, it's an event. So much so that I've even already made a couple videos about it. About the casting of the main characters and the first released official photos. Yeah, I don't really do that, so that just goes to show how much I love Wicked and how excited I am for these movies. Yeah, it's gonna be a Part 1, Part 2 deal, so I don't know all of what to expect, but that to me just makes it even more exciting. Even more expansion on the world of Oz? Sounds good to me. Because it's true, so much happened before Dorothy dropped in, and I couldn't be any more excited to see that on the big screen. Okay, we're almost done with this list. Currently slated to come out at the end of this year is The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. This is actually an animated movie that is set in the continuity of the Peter Jackson films. It's set, what was it, 261 years before the events of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers? The Rohirrim is what Rohan's army is called. Apparently this is supposed to tell the story of the origin of Helm's Deep or something like that. I'll admit I don't know all the complete details of the premise, but it is a new Lord of the Rings movie. Sure, it's animated, and sure, I think it's gonna be anime style actually, but it's Lord of the Rings, so automatically I'm looking forward to it. Miranda Otto is even returning to voice Éowyn. I think she's narrating this movie. That's cool. And I am pretty sure this is gonna be a big screen release. Could be straight to streaming, I'm not certain. But from what I know right now, it's gonna be theatrical. So seeing Middle-earth on the big screen again, even animated, should be a real treat. So yeah, gotta be on this list. And alright, we're at the end of the list now, and the last movie on this list, that's Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Look, I absolutely love Sonic the Hedgehog 2, for the most part. I love all the Sonic and Tails and Knuckles stuff anyway. The human stuff, yeah, that stuff is all boring. I skip those parts whenever I watch this movie. But Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles teaming up to fight Dr. Eggman, that was so awesome to see on the big screen. And we all knew for the third one they had to bring in Shadow the Hedgehog. That was the natural step to take. And Sonic 2's mid-credit scene confirmed that for us. Since then, we have all been super excited to see who's gonna voice Shadow, what's Shadow gonna do in the third movie. I still think some great casting choices would either be Keanu Reeves or Robert Pattinson. Just as long as it's not Will Arnett, okay? But yeah, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and now Shadow the Hedgehog in live action, how can I not be excited for that? Shadow the Hedgehog is freaking awesome. He's been a villain, he's been an anti-hero, he's always been Sonic's rival, even more so than Knuckles, so I gotta see what direction they're taking Shadow in this movie, and I just can't wait to see that. That mid-credits scene, I will admit, is a bit confusing in that they said this Project Shadow thing dated back at least 50 years. How does that make sense? But hopefully Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will explain that. And if not, well, if the movie's still really cool, I can shrug that detail off as just a nitpick. But only time will tell. And so yeah, there you have it, folks. Those are 10 of my most anticipated movies of this year, 2024. I hope all these movies are good, and I don't know if I'm gonna be making videos like this every year from now on. I guess it'll depend on how this list compares to what will be my top 10 best movies of this year, in terms of how similar they are, because I don't want to start seeming repetitive. That makes sense, right? So we'll see what happens. So, what are your most anticipated movies of 2024? Yeah, I know I asked you that previously, but I didn't see myself making this video at the time. Yeah, this was a recent decision, so I'm asking you again. What are you looking forward to this year? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace!